I think what I'd like to see happen in martial arts, I'd like to see the values that are taught in traditional martial arts. I'd like to see those taught in MMA gyms.
What values?
Things like courtesy between one another, things like respect for another person's life, things like respect for your training partners, you know, just the self-discipline as well as like the group and the teamwork together, looking out for your partners. I find what I see, and this is only my personal experience, so I'm not speaking for every MMA gym that's out there, but for the groups that I have worked with, and there's a lot of MMA in this area, and I've actually taught a few of the MMA fighters, and I've taught in an MMA gym for a while. I found I like coming back to, I guess, just martial artists versus specifically MMA fighters. The reason being, it seems like fighters in MMA gyms are taught it's all about them. It's all about the win. It's all about how hard you can hit, how much damage you can do to another person. And therefore what happens is, especially if you're young and learning this, what happens is you're taught that your self-worth and your identity are tied to how much you can hurt another person. Therefore, if you can't hurt another person, or if you lose, you know, then you're not worth as much, or that, you know, you're not who you think you are, because your self-worth and your identity is tied to that. It's all about get the win, you know, come home with the W, you know, get the belt, and go hurt them. You know, and I struggled with that for a long time when I was first teaching the MMA fighters. And I love some of the heart those guys put in. I mean, like the heart, the training that they'll put in, the commitment level is awesome. But a lot of, you know, things like, hey man, class starts at 7:30. You don't get here at 7:45 and jump in when you want. You know, like little things like that. At least that's the experiences that I had. So they didn't really like me much when I was teaching because I was really big on like rules. You know, let's follow some rules. Let's work together at things. But, you know, I remember talking with one of my students, coming back from teaching at the gym, then coming back to the dojo and teaching and trying to say, you know, I'm not too sure what it is. I feel like I love the amount of effort these guys put in, but it's not as satisfying to me as want to come in and work with you guys who you know, you guys work day jobs. You can't put in as much of the effort as these guys do. And one of my students really put it very succinctly, you know, and because I was telling him about how a fighter was telling me that he can't wait to get into this next cage fight because the rules are different and he can elbow people in the head and in the face if he wants to. Okay. And my student put it to me, he says, well, the difference I see is that those guys are fighters because they like to fight. They're taught to hurt. They like to hurt. Where everybody here, we don't train because we like to hurt. We train because we don't like to fight and we don't want to get hurt and we just want to defend ourselves and our family from getting hurt or having to fight. And I realized that, wow, that is a big difference. That is a big difference. So to me, I'd like to see some of those, like I said, those values that are taught in traditional martial arts systems passed on in some of the MMA schools as well. Not that that doesn't happen everywhere, just from what I've seen, I'd like to see that injected in more. I think that we're able to choose more. We have more choice. We can say, oh, I want to bring this in, I want to bring that in, I want to add this to my curriculum. You know, I can go over here and train with this guy, I can go over here and train with that guy, I can bring it in more, and it's more accepted. You know, when I was coming up through the schools, you could not train other systems. If you know, I had one teacher, which is unfortunate because he's a fantastic martial artist, fantastic teacher. But if you trained in other systems, he'd call you wishy-washy. You're like, oh, yeah, you're wishy-washy. You train a little bit. I had another teacher who I actually took a student of mine with me out to California to do a private lesson with his teacher. He was all excited to meet him. And after the lesson, he screamed in my face in front of my student because he'd seen that I was training in other systems. He was like, oh, you do this and you do that. And it's like paint. You don't have a color. You mix them together and it's just all gray. It's all crap. You know, and I was like, you don't know that. You're basing that based on what, a 2-minute video that you saw? Come on, man. And, you know, so I think that we're seeing less of that mentality and more of the mentality of, you know, what do you bring to the table? You know, and I think that's right on. It's so much broader now than it was before. So many more choices than there were before. I think that's awesome.